We have reached myth number 3. The next myth is sponsored by Captain Obvious and refers to the idea that nonprofit organizations cannot generate business models that produce profits. As the name itself implies, right. Nonprofit is too oftentimes, unfortunately, believed to mean only donations. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nonprofit organizations need to make money if they want to grow, thrive, and continue serving the community. In reality, the only thing that happens in the case of nonprofit organizations is that the profits cannot be distributed among the members, but they can be generated and used for the benefit of the organization. Organizations have multiple ways to fund themselves, but one that does not receive enough attention is the charge they can make for the services they provide or for the sale of products, merchandising, events, among others. The fundamental difference is that a company's goal is to make money to enrich itself, while NGOs aim to have more funds to continue offering or improving the services they provide. A study conducted on the 100 largest nonprofit organizations in the USA found that on average, 15% of their revenue comes from the sale of services or products. That is, from some type of business model. Many years ago, I met the director of an organization that works to ensure access to water in rural communities. He told me that he started giving courses and selling his knowledge, which brought in a significant amount of resources, and he decided to start a line of courses, a business model that generated profits, and those profits were invested in reaching more communities. There is another study that analyzes all nonprofit organizations, again in the USA, because there is more information, and found that on average, sales of products or services reach an average of 47. Obviously, there is a lot of difference between the various sectors, but these models allow us to see NGOs as organizations that have the potential to diversify their funding sources and see a way to do it, thus creating a business model. However, to do so, they indeed need to undergo a radical shift in mindset to become social entrepreneurs and rely less on donations and institutional or governmental contributions. An exercise that I observed closely, I learned from my father-in-law, RIP. He supported many causes, one of which was the city's nursing home where he was born and lived. A complex cause that requires a lot of resources. He was a businessman and knew a lot about real estate. So what he did was create a financial mechanism based on properties that generated rent. These rents ensured the minimum operation of the asylum. So don't lose sight of whether someone can donate a property to you or leave you a property as an inheritance that you can rent out and thus have a fixed income. Now, beyond the sources of income, it is important to pay attention to how resources are spent within the organization, to understand why and on what the money is being used, and thus be able to determine if the organization's model is viable in the long term. For example, organizations like the YMCA receive 75% of their income through investments and programs, and the rest from public and government contributions. However, 80% of their revenue is spent on maintaining those programs, and at the end of the day, after deducting the rest of their expenses, they maintain a profit of 5% of their total revenue. This allows them, first and foremost, to ensure the continuity of those programs, but also to allocate resources to develop and implement new initiatives. Having business models allows organizations to diversify our income. My grandmother would say not to put all your eggs in one basket. Organizations that have more balanced sources of income have a greater chance of surviving and ideally reaching a point where they can be self-sufficient. But making a profit should not be approached as an end in itself, or at the expense of other areas that are equally important to the organization's performance. Instead, it should be seen as a collateral benefit of a series of good administrative and operational practices within the organization. Ideally, the leaders of the organizations should resist the temptation to be jack of all trades and instead decide to transform their operational structure to have a department that can steer the organization in that direction. If they decide to venture into the world of entrepreneurship, the recommendation is to at least invest in training in business, entrepreneurship, and other relevant business skills, or to form strategic alliances with those who can provide that knowledge. If this is a topic you are interested in exploring further, we have a special module where Victor Mabu, an expert in social enterprises, guides us step by step on how to start a business model in your organization. So don't forget, NGOs don't just survive on donations, they can also do business. Not only can they, but they must start imagining different ways to generate income. In the team, there are many people who have experience with this, so to dispel this myth, remember that you can ask us questions at any time.